To be here with John Bissett, who is our candidate for Swan, and here we are at St Norbert's College. John has a great background. He's worked as a motor mechanic apprentice way back when. He furthered his studies at TAFE and John Curtin University. Spent time in the Army Reserve 16th Battalion. You served as a councillor for 23 years, mate. That's serious effort, and you're currently Deputy Mayor of the town of Victoria Park. So here you've got a candidate for the Australian Labor Party in this part of Perth who has very strong credentials in the practical business of government, and there's nothing more practical than working in local government. Here at this college, but here in this wider community, the government has a strong record of achievement. Here in the community, represented in the Federal Division of Swan, we've been investing more than $106 million in 31 new classrooms, 14 new libraries, 11 new multi-purpose facilities, a new language centre, and I think this is the one we're in at the moment here at St Norbert's. On top of that, we've been investing in 5,000 new computers just in the schools, the secondary schools in this community. And the principal told me before that all the computers, the laptops that are used here at St Norbert's are a product of the investment by the Australian government in this school. We've also, across the electorate of Swan, invested nearly $20 million in 6 new trade training centres. I think one is here at this college as well. And these support some 9 schools, secondary schools in this area. We've also been active in our investments in local health and hospitals. We've got a share of a $52 million investment in the Bentley Hospital with 18 rehabilitation beds. And we've been investing in the local Medicare Local, the Bentley Armidale Medicare Local, which has been a strong investment, part of a nationwide set of investments by us to improve local primary health care in the community. On disability care, I think it's important to note that once Disability Care Australia is fully up and running, we're going to have about 2,700 people, we estimate, in this community of Swan who would be supported by that when it's fully up and running. School Kids Bonus, very important for cost of living. We've got about 6,000 families receiving the School Kids Bonus in this community. Paid parental leave, 2,200 local parents who are benefiting from this government's initiative. And also, we've been actively involved in the investment in local infrastructure. The roads, we have a $224 million investment in the Great Eastern Highway upgrade, which I'm told is a done project. Yes. Then we have a massive investment also in the Gateway WA Perth Airport and Freight Access Road, which is underway. So these are big investments. The last investment that I'd like to refer to is what we're doing with the National Broadband Network. NBN fibre services have been switched on for over 1,600 homes and businesses in Victoria Park. And then across that, in addition to that, by November of this year, we will have commenced construction on another 7,000 homes and businesses in the suburbs of Beckenham, Bentley, Cannington, Ferndale, Langford, Linwood, Queen's Park, St James, Welshpool and Wilson. Did I mispronounce any of those?
No.
Well done. Okay. It's always good to ask. Finally, here at St Norbert's, let me just say a thing or two about the Better Schools plan. I've mentioned how we've invested in the needs of local schools, language centres, computers and new school libraries. What I am really here in Perth to do is to sit down with Premier Colin Barnett to talk about the future of the Better Schools plan and whether we can get WA also to sign on to the Disability Care Australia agreement as well. For the Better Schools plan, the bottom line is this. With WA's 1,100 schools, if we reach an agreement, they would stand to benefit from around $920 million extra funding over 6 years. $590 million would come from us, the Australian government, $330 from the WA government. And that would mean an increase per school over WA of just under $1 million each over 6 years. Here at St Norbert's, you would see a funding increase of almost $7 million over the next 6 years, an increase of about 31.6% per student. That's all about enabling schools to have the extra resources necessary for their principals to work out which kid actually needs a bit of one-on-one attention if they're falling behind, which kid actually needs some one-on-one attention if they're doing super well and actually need to be challenged further, as well as having school improvement plans for the entire school community, which then subject to public measurement through NAPLAN and an expanded NAPLAN type assessment, so that everyone knows that the school is seeking to improve in the following areas and have confidence that this extra investment is producing better education outcomes for everybody. That would mean a whole lot here in this community as well. So my final point is simply this. I would appeal to Premier Colin Barnett to hop on board with the rest of the country because we have no interest at all in running WA schools. These things are always best done at the local level. What we do have an interest in, however, is securing an agreement which would result in a further injection of nearly $600 million of federal funding over the next 6 years into WA schools, whether they are Catholic, whether they're independent, or whether they are state. And that's what I think is really important for the future. Over to you, folks.